to bring you this morning's news update. We'll start with what's happening around us in today's Daily Monitor. Thousands of teachers go months without pay. They have cried out for help, and the affected teachers who last received salaries in June say they are unable to cater for their families and have asked the government to expedite the process of clearing their areas. The Ministry of Public Service attributes the delays to the glitches in implementing the new salary structure. The Daily Monitor also brings you what happened in Kenya yesterday at the inauguration of President William Ruto, who is the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. Change of guard. Ruto pledges to work for all Kenyans, and also they bring you the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Tayebwa, saying he has no problem with Anita Among. The details are in today's New Vision. And also the National Population Census to start next year. Get yourself a copy and get the details. The Cabinet of Uganda has approved a plan to carry out on a housing and population census in August next year. The Minister of ICT, Dr. Chris Baliomunsi, says the census is necessary for planning service delivery. And also schools pick UNEB exam materials. School heads across the country have started picking examination materials from UNEB in preparation for the 2022 examinations. We wish the candidates good luck as they sit for their examinations. There are very many job opportunities in today's Daily Monitor. Get yourself a copy and get a job in the Daily Monitor. And in the New Vision, tasks ahead for President Ruto, inauguration as the 5th Kenyan president. They bring you President Yoweri Museveni, who was congratulating President William Ruto at his inauguration as Kenya's 5th president. This was yesterday at Moi International Sports Stadium, Kasarani in Nairobi, Kenya. And also education bars teenagers from health courses. Queen's coffin was made 32 years ago. That's in their foreign news. And also Ugandan farmers begin Ireland tour. And many other news revealed in today's New Vision. Finance names best performing government entities. Get yourself a copy. There are a lot of stories to get to know about what's happening in Uganda around us. I'm moving on into our international news update. We'll start with what's happening in Kenya. Tens of thousands of people cheered as William Ruto was sworn in as Kenya's president at a ceremony in the capital, Nairobi, following his narrow election win last month. Mr. Ruto hailed it as a moment like no other, adding that a village boy had become president. Defeated candidate Raila Odinga did not attend. He said he had serious concerns about his opponent's victory. Mr. Ruto won the election with 50.5% of the vote to Mr. Odinga's 48.8%. Mr. Odinga has alleged that the result was rigged, but the Supreme Court has ruled that the election was free and fair. Mr. Ruto, the former deputy president, was handed a copy of Kenya's constitution and a sword to represent the transfer of power from President Uhuru Kenyatta. With his hand on the Bible, the 55-year-old swore to preserve and protect the constitution. He said standing there today was a testimony that there is God in heaven, and he thanked God that a village boy had become president, referring to the fact that he grew up in rural Kenya. He also had conciliatory words from Mr. Odinga and his opponents. And in his first day in office, Kenya's President William Ruto gave orders to reverse some of the policies of his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta. President Ruto appointed 6 judges nominated by the Judicial Service Commission 3 years ago, who Mr. Kenyatta snapped on claims they were tainted. The 6 judges will be sworn in today. The new president also announced the end of fuel and food subsidies. He said they were costly and ineffective. Mr. Ruto also ordered that all cargo clearance be reverted to Mombasa Port, rolling back Mr. Kenyatta's orders that saw port services transferred to Naivasha to ensure repayment of a Chinese loan taken for the construction of a railway between the port of Mombasa and the capital Nairobi. The orders were part of Mr. Ruto's campaign promises. Moving on to Sudan, thousands of Sudanese protesters carrying placards denouncing military rulers took to the streets of the capital Khartoum yesterday, according to the news agency in Sudan. They were calling for return to civilian rule and the resignation of General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the other security officials who ran the country. They chanted, "Go back to the barracks and leave." Some of the protesters carried some of them carried posters of the 116 people that pro-democracy medical staff say have been killed in a crackdown of the anti-coup protests. The army ousted civilian rulers last year in October, pending a delicate transition agreement after the 2019 removal of long-term leader Omar el-Bashir. The country has been facing economic hardship triggered by cuts to international aid. The UN warned in June that a third of Sudan's 43 million population faced acute food insecurity and the situation could get worse. And in the United Kingdom, Prince William and Prince Harry will walk together behind the Queen's coffin in a procession in London today. The brothers, along with the King, will follow the coffin on foot from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall, where the Queen will lie in state. The procession will leave the palace at 14:22 British Standard Time and is expected to arrive at Westminster Hall at 15 British Standard Time. A service lasting about 20 minutes will then be led by the Archbishop of Canterbury. The King's three siblings, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, will also walk in the procession. Camilla, the Queen Consort, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, will travel by car, as will Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Moving on to Asia, Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Russia's Vladimir Putin will discuss the war in Ukraine and other international and regional topics at their meeting later this week, according to the Kremlin. The two will meet in Uzbekistan at the summit that will show an alternative to the Western world. Mr. Xi is making his first trip overseas since the beginning of the pandemic. He is seeking a historic third term, while Mr. Putin's relations with the West are at rock bottom over Ukraine. Mr. Xi beginning his three-day trip in Kazakhstan today and will meet Mr. Putin on Thursday at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Samarkand, which will run from the 15th to the 16th of September. In northeastern Ukraine, a counteroffensive has seen the nation's forces recapture swathes of territory and drive out Russian troops. In the newly liberated areas, relief and sorrow are intertwined as accounts emerge of torture and killings during long months of Russian occupation. Artem, who lives in the city of Balaklia in the Kharkiv region, told the press he was held by Russians for more than 40 days and was tortured with electrocution. And finally, fighting between Armenia and Azerbaijan on Monday killed almost 100 soldiers, it has emerged. Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said 49 of its soldiers died in overnight clashes, while Azerbaijan's defense ministry said 50 of its servicemen were also killed. The neighboring countries have fought two wars and seen regular small clashes span 3 decades. On Tuesday, Russia said it brokered a ceasefire for the latest outbreak. Armenia initially said the fighting had calmed rather than ended completely. Later, Azerbaijan said it had completed its objectives following provocations from its neighbors. Well, that brings us to the end of this morning's news update. I remain Masiga Shegu Sembatia. Thank you for watching Channel 44. I remind you of the Karamoja cry. We are sending food relief to the people of Karamoja who are dying of hunger. Please join us as we deliver that food. We have so far delivered over 70,000 metric tons of food, but the need is still big. We are looking at delivering another 100,000 tons of food aid. It's a fortified meal that has different ingredients that will help revamp the people of Karamoja. It has milk, it has sugar, it has millet flour, it has maize flour, it has all other components that revive and revitalize the body. These are our very own, so join us as we help them salvage the situation of hunger in Karamoja. Otherwise, I wish you a very good morning. The pastors are coming on with the Pastors Now program. Enjoy your day. God bless you.